This movie has the third biggest weekend open at the box office for any A24 film, only trailing Hereditary and Civil War. And I noticed that this film follows a pattern I noticed that they're doing when they're trying to get butts in seats. And that's falsely advertising to us, the audience, and mostly the general audience that's not familiar with what they do with their films, to get them to watch the movie because they think it's one thing, and then it subverts their expectations, and then we get some mixed feelings coming out of the film, and we can see a lot of that happening with Materialist. House Gone Civil War was advertised as this big blockbuster war film that was going to feature the far left and the extreme right battling it out, and we're going to get a real political talk about how America is right now. Obviously, that's not what the movie was about at all. Very apolitical, and that movie ended up being divisive. Hereditary advertised itself as the next Exorcist, really focusing on Charlie the child and her being possessed, but the movie was completely different from what we thought the trailers led on to. Now with The Materialist, and for some reason I keep trying to say Materialist by itself, but it feels more comfortable to say The Materialist. I don't know why that is. So we're just going to say The Materialist throughout the review. But The Materialist was advertised as this quirky rom-com that felt like a throwback to the early 2010s when you have like three attractive people stuck in a love triangle and one of them is trying to figure out what they really want. Felt like Hitch meets Bridget Jones' Diary. And while this film has a structure just like those films, like those classic rom-coms that we all know and love, the material of the film, see what I did there? Oh, okay. That was terrible. The content of the movie is very, very different from what you expect from the trailers. And I got to say that the movie focuses more on conversation of the pitfalls of modern dating versus just having like a really fun, funny rom. You know, those conversations that we see online all the time these days about age, salary, values, body type, and everything you see everyone with podcasts and a mic talking about on social media and their viewers debating it about it online. For A24 fans and people who saw Celine Song's first film, Past Lives, we knew it wasn't going to take that stereotypical role and subvert our expectations in one way. But even with that, I do think that the way we thought she may have tackled and the depth that she may have gone, I think the movie also subverts that as well. It tries to find a happy middle ground to please the general audience that loves rom-coms versus the people who love A24 or cinephiles and wanted something a little deeper. So I think that because of that, trying to satisfy both crowds, I think the movie created something that's very, very divisive. And even for me, who actually loved the film, I have many problems with it, even though I enjoyed so many aspects. Dakota Johnson's Lucy is a matchmaker, and throughout the film, we see her interview a variety of men and women with unrealistic expectations of a partner. However, the film also dwells into why these people hold these expectations, which I thought was the strongest aspect of the film. Whether they're trying to fulfill a void inside themselves or have a perverse objective or just has really hard to find preferences in people in New York City, it's really interesting to see how all these different people expect what they like, one thing they want, and her trying to bring it down to like something that she can actually find. The trips and falls and the difficultness of trying to date, especially meeting someone that you don't know for the first time. The film actually gets into the dangers of that, and it got a little darker than I expected. Where the film falters a little bit for people who are in the general audience that saw a trailer with three very kind of famous, attractive actors who thought they were going to get a lot of cute, fun rom-com, is the fact that that aspect of the film is actually the weaker part of the film. The love triangle is essential way they promoted this movie, and I think that they did a really solid job with it at times, but it really tries to subvert the expectations that you have when you come into films like that. Because we've seen this concept before. Lucy, who's a matchmaker played by Dakota Johnson, doesn't believe in love. And she's doing this thing where she's trying to find other people love, but she doesn't want it for herself, but is being pursued by old interests who she still has deep feelings for, and a new interest that feels like a unicorn and matches all the numbers and statistics that women are being told that they need to pursue in life. And these are played by the heartthrobs Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal, which was one of the real pinning points of people seeing like Dakota Johnson, people who are fairly attracted to, trying to pick one of these two people that everybody thinks are heartthrobs. It sounds like money on paper, but the movie subverts the expectations here by exploring the relationships in a different way. And throughout the marketing campaign and the interviews, you see all three of them together. Their chemistry is amazing. They're really, really fun together and funny. But in the movie itself, that's not really replicated. Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans' characters, Harry and John, rarely interact with each other. The messiness that usually comes for like a love triangle is really not there, and the deep dive into that is not what the movie's about. We don't get Lucy going on romantic dates with both of them, lying to them about where she was, trying to go on dates with both. The movie's really about Lucy picking Pedro Pascal's character and trying to live that fantasy that she's been selling to her clients and seeing how that is, while also still going like down a memory road with Chris Evans' character John about the relationship they had years ago. Because the movie feels like the anti rom com. The movie never gets into the messiness aspect of it. It's just Lucy getting into that fantasy, dating Harry, and he's like a unicorn character. That person that this movie talks about, it doesn't exist, and we see them talk about it in real life. Someone that's above 6 feet, someone that's making six figures, someone that is an entrepreneur and made it up from the ground, and also very nice and decisive. Not a cheater. There's the things that women dream about that you almost doesn't feel like it can happen. She's exploring all that with Harry. But one thing that happens is that the movie really never dwells into the relationship and why they should be together. It kind of shows fleeting moments of them together, and it's not like very romantic throughout. In contrast with John, they have a lot of chemistry. It's very romantic. Every scene they have, you can see that gravitational pull between them. But in her head, she wants a different lifestyle from what her heart wants. Well, the issue I had with her character was that the fact that we didn't get to explore her relationship with Harry and why maybe that might not work out. And then we don't get to really explore the relationship with her and John. And while that could work now after all these years, there's hints and stuff like that, but it's all kind of surface level. And I think John and Harry both had vices that could have been utilized better throughout the movie. Things about men that we don't really discuss in a healthy manner, especially not by a director and a writer who can handle them as gently as she did here, even though she didn't like uncover everything I would have want her to do in this movie. Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal are fantastic in their roles and make you really, really want to like sit and enjoy with these characters and just kind of live in their life and see them live their life, just like Dakota Johnson does. And I really, really enjoyed this movie overall. I think the movie was funny. I think it was thoughtful, tackled a lot of aspects about the modern dating scene that we don't see in modern rom-coms or different romantic movies. But I think it tried to juggle too many topics at one time, so not everything got to breathe. And that really comes through in Celine Song's dialogue handling. I think that if she wrote the dialogue where the characters sounded a little bit more natural instead of poets, because it kind of felt like they were going on these great grand monologues. But I'm like, no one talks like this at all, especially in New York City. So I wish if there was a little bit more grounded in that aspect where it didn't feel like people were doing all these grand things and trying to say every word perfectly. I think that the point would have been able to feel more authentic. And then in the end, I think the biggest thing that kind of hurts the film and has that false advertisement, because you come in thinking it's one thing, it's going to be this fun rom-com, then you sit through it and the writing is so good and the characters are so good, you get into what the movie's actually about. But by the end, when she makes her decision who she wants, the movie kind of does a 180 or a 360. I never know which one is which. I'm pretty sure it's 180 when you turn around, 360 is all the way around. It makes it feel like she's going into that fantasy rom-com and not making a very sensible decision that most people would make, which kind of bothered me at the end, but overall didn't bring down the whole experience. So I definitely enjoyed the film, but I definitely do think it falsely advertised things on multiple levels. Obviously, the marketed in one way, and then when you get into the film themes make you feel like it's going in a different direction, but it kind of ties back into what the marketing was saying. So I can see why this movie is divisive. Even me, there's parts of it that I feel is very, very divisive, but I think you should go check it out. It's a really, really fun film and something that's very unique in terms of how it tackles the rom-com space. So with that said, I'm going to give Materialist a B. Question of the day is, what is your favorite rom-com? Drop your answers down below and let me know. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and you can see more of my content